Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Riz Talks. I'm your host Riz and I'm glad you could join me today. I'm diving today into a phrase that sparked from political speeches to wild conspiracy theories, the New World Order. When will it happen? Has it already happened? Most importantly, should we be worried? Let's find out. Our motto here is to think again about the views in the light of facts, statistics, and true history, not to take granted for what has been narrated. There are always more sides to every story. If we challenge the way we see the world and ourselves, it's time to pause, reflect, and ask, who are we, really? How has our history, both personal and collective, shaped our beliefs, our biases, and our choices? Do the things we hold to be true even matter in the grand scheme of humanity? Let's talk about a new world order, or new United Nations, or what I might call a world integrated nations. When? Is it a fact, fiction, or is it far away? First, let's define the New World Order. And this generally refers to a global system of governance or power consolidation, often implying a shift in how the world is run. It's been used seriously by leaders and not so seriously by conspiracy theorists. Imagine what would we do if Earth was invaded by aliens? Would we not all unite? What we do after a nuclear war, a third world war? Will all countries not unite? Let's not wait for that. From bayonets to nuclear bombs to drones, humanity sure has been creative when it comes to destroying itself. But what have we learned from the last century of world shaking wars? Military alliances like NATO with 32 countries or others are unnecessary if peace can be guaranteed by a global organization. Today's episode is about developing the New World Order, new United Nations, for that future. As it stands with veto powers in the hands of a few members is not democratic. Currently, the UN is facing various challenges such as funding, efficiency, and has become redundant today. The Second World War with new powers emerging in EU and BRICS. There's 193 countries out now, 195 are in the United Nations. Claim to believe in democracy and majority rule. So, are we following that belief? There's an African proverb which says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Is the United Nations fit for purpose in this century? Most logically, no. Though it has voiced concerns and passed resolutions, it lacks the ability to enforce these resolutions. Although there is no official UN database that tracks every instance of non-compliance with binding resolutions, the veto of such a resolution implies that this instrument is not democratic and should be abolished. When the overwhelming majority of countries agree, it should be binding. Period. What if United Nations becomes a win? A world of integrated nations for the world by being the sole body that runs a global army from all nations. Meaning the security of all nations on this planet will be with this organization, a new chapter of United Nations, and countries do not maintain an army. And the only organization to control all the nuclear weapons and weapons on this planet would be that sole body. The rivalry between current and future powers can then be de-escalated without any need for more military build-ups. It won't be necessary for countries or continents to defend themselves. And hopefully zero chance of starting a nuclear war by accident or by a man leader. This would also mean an end to the arms race, the proxy wars and the star wars that are currently killing millions and wasting a lot of money. These resources can then be diverted to solving domestic issues in these countries. Just imagine the good all this money can do to better the lives of people in these countries. For this, the win must have financial independence by voluntary contribution of, say, 1% GDP, for example, from all countries. Remember, all the nations would also be participating in all aspects of global diplomacy and now, additionally, global trade and finance, thus the global United Army. So the structure for this already does exist in the United Nations in its current form with the Security Council and its 6 organs. The working can be changed as it is transformed into a new organization called WIN and is the sole body for maintaining peace and sovereignty of all nations. Something that's promoting cooperation in trade, finance, and developing countries. Here's the kicker. We already live in an interconnected world. Trade agreements, climate accords, and international organizations all point to growing interdependence. The question isn't if we still have a new world order, it's whether it'll work for everyone or just a select few. There's a trend of nations uniting in all parts of the world at the moment. For instance, United States itself constitutes 50 states. European Union is now with 27 countries and counting. An example of the former foes like Germany and France. The African Union consists of 55. So we can get all countries to the continental collective with no borders, like US, EU, Australia. We can be on our way to having one world, one currency, and no borders on this planet eventually. This would mean being on our path to ending poverty and in turn ending refugees. Prosperity and peace can follow, perhaps. Remember, there were no borders when people inhabited this planet for thousands of years. The indigenous people did not own any land as it was passed on to the next generation. Buying and selling land is a construct we started. It has already started what we try to achieve and accomplish. We just need to bring it to a logical conclusion. Nothing is impossible when the will of the people acts to change the tide, opposing some factions that are exploiting the masses of this world for their own benefit. In politics, the phrase New World Order gained traction after the Cold War, signaling hopes for global cooperation. In conspiracy circles, it's shorthand for shadowy elites controlling the world. The New World Order has been tied to everything from the Illuminati to the lizard people. Theories often claim that a secret cabal of elites is working behind the scenes to establish a one world government. Think less democracy and more Game of Thrones, but fewer dragons. Fast forward to modern times, and the Bilderberg Group, meeting of world leaders and CEOs, has become a lightning rod for New World Order theories. But let's be real. If these meetings were that sinister, would they really serve free snacks? So, to conclude, here's the twist. Some argue the New World Order isn't a future event, it's already here. Global institutions like the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, and even the IMF World Bank are often accused of steering us towards a one world government. Then there's technology. Digital currencies like Bitcoin and central bank digital currencies have sparked fears of a cashless society controlled by these. But is this progress or just the Matrix 2.0? So, if a new world order did happen, what would it actually look like? Would it be a dystopian, think 1984, with constant surveillance, or utopian, with global corporations solving climate change, hunger, and world peace? Spoiler, it's probably somewhere in between. Realistically speaking, global governance would face massive challenges. Nations have different values, economies, and political systems. Merging of religions and cultures is not anticipated or expected. Getting everyone to agree on a global minimum wage or universal basic income may not be easy, but we'd be on the path. Might be a utopian dream, but much good can come out of it if we can stop the exploitation of the world and the masses by petty leaders with little vision, always dividing for ego or greed or war. With win, we can all have a win-win philosophy. And here I mean again, world of integrated nations. If we humans want that, collectively we should move to this new direction. Thank you for joining me in this episode of World International Union. We the people of this planet, we the people of this planet must think again about how to make our world better. Is peace and prosperity for everyone not worth fighting for the monarchs, politicians, and dictators? If you see the increasing interconnection of nations as a slow march towards global cooperation, then we are on our track. Albert Camus said, real generosity towards the future lies in giving all to the present. It's now time to act. So please share the message with others. Think again. Challenge ideas. Join the conversation and subscribe. This is Risk Talks. Be curious, be kind, and come back for more.